Hello, you're welcome back to another video tutorial. In the first video of this series, we explored why most dashboards fail and we designed the UX of a real creator dashboard. After that, we designed the site navigations, built the main dashboard content area, and structured the interface into a scalable layout system. So at this point, the desktop version of this dashboard is complete. And then in this video, we're going to take the design one step further by making the dashboard responsive for mobile devices and also creating a dark mode version of the interface. So by the end of this video, you will have a fully responsive dashboard with both light and dark mode versions, completing the entire design system. So without wasting any more time, let's dive right into what we are going to be doing for today. Hi, so you're welcome to the last part of the entire dashboard design series, and I'm going to show you how to convert this dashboard into a responsive mobile design. So it's going to be a mobile web platform also. So now the first thing we're going to do is to bring in a phone. And then I'm going to rename this to mobile. And then I'm just going to stretch this down here. So first we're going to start by, setting up our grid. So the count for mobile is 4. That's what I like to use. And the margin we're going to use here is 16. So our gutter, I'm just going to keep the gutter 12. And then I'm just going to save this. So the first thing that we're now going to do is to bring in, go over to assets. And I'm going to search status. So I'm just going to select out of this. I think I like this, so I'm just going to push this out here. And then I'm going to push it inside my work environment and then center it properly and push it to the top. Let's turn this off for a minute. Let's turn off the grid for a minute and then zoom in. So the size of my frame is currently at 375. So I'm just going to adjust this also to be at 375. Hopefully, it's responded to auto layout. So this is what I want now. So I just got it from the asset panel here and you're good to go. You don't need to start recreating all this. There's no time for that. We have more important things to do. So the next thing I'm going to bring in is the logo. And I want to go back and do this. Although we don't need the entire logo. We just need the icon. I don't think there's a need for the entire logo here. Just the icon works. So I'm just going to paste to replace. So I copied the particular logo icon and I paste to replace just to have it. Yeah. So I'm just going to change this to 20, the height to 28. And then I'm going to measure the height 16. And just like I said before, we're going to be using a grid of 16. Margin of 16. So since we're using a margin of 16, I'm just going to work with that. And then the next thing we are going to bring in is the notification. And then we're going to have like a drawer that is going to open up and bring in more options for us. So I'm going to reduce this and reduce this to 32. And then make sure that our logo is not too small. Let's see if we can still maintain that, although we'll have to detach this. All right, since I wouldn't want to detach this, I'll just go over to, let me just go back. And then go to the make component. And then I'm going to create a variant for this. And this is going to be desktop. So I'm just going to call this desktop. So this is going to be the desktop size. Let me change this to state. And then this is going to be the mobile size. So I'm just going to scale this down by holding K on my keyboard and scale this down to 32. So we're going to make sure that our logo inside is still at 20. So I'm going to return back to the main instance. And then I'm going to change this to mobile. So now that we have this at mobile, we will need to add one more icon. So I'm just going to go over to the main components again. In the last video, we moved the main component to a new page, which was like the components page. So I'm going to duplicate this and move this. So I'm going to search menu here. And then I'm just going to select one of this. So I believe I like this. This looks okay. So I don't think we'll be needing any icon. Hopefully, if we need anyone else, we'll still come back here, but I don't think we'll be needing any other icon. So I'm just going to make this a component. And then I'm just going to select this. Oh, which icon did we? Okay, this was the icon that brought us here. So I'm just going to click it so that we can have this option of going back. So I'm just going to bring this out here and then swap the icon. So the menu icon. And I'm going to give it a gap of like 24. So there's enough bridge space and enough touch real estate for the menu. So each time I'm designing mobile, I like to do something. I'll just go to my prototype settings and then I'll select the show prototype and then select the device. So currently I'm using iPhone 13 mini. So that's what I'm just going to use to preview this also. So I'm just going to select this and then you're going to use the preview option. And you can also see the shortcut for both of these. So in case I use the shortcut, so this is what I'm basically using. So while we wait for that, let's just keep building. And then I'm just going to select this and select this. And then I'm going to add auto layout to it and then add some padding around it. So I'm just going to make the right and left padding to be 16 and then the top and bottom 16. And then we're going to change the width for this to 375, which is the width of our frame. And I'm going to center it. And then I'm just going to make sure that there's no gap between the status and this particular section. So now that we have this set up, one more thing that is left, although I don't like adding auto layout here so that I can properly center the text I want to add here. So the last thing, we're going to add the page title here. So the page title is downloads. Let's see if I can make use of the download that I created here. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. So I'm going to paste it inside of here and then center it properly and center it. So we are going to move over to the next section, which is like the greeting section. So for this section, I'm just going to select these guys here. Let me push this so that you see what I'm doing. So I'm going to just copy it or there's no need. I'll just hold Alt on my keyboard and then drag this inside of here and push it inside here. And then I'm just going to stretch this to 375. And then top and bottom will be 16 and left and right will be 16. Then I'm going to center it properly. And let me select this and say, this is okay, but I want it to be 16. I think 16 would be better due to its mobile, and this should be around 12. So now that we have, we will make sure that there's no gap between this and the previous section. So little by little, we are actually making this work. And let's try to center it and see how it looks. Well, it's not bad, but let's just leave it at the way it is. Probably later we might come back and try it again. But centering it might look better, but let's just keep it that way for now. So I'm going to drop this one also, and then, so basically it's all about resizing everything to actually fit into this. And then I'm just going to change the width of this to 375. And then this, we're going to change this into, from this button, we can turn off the text and just have only this. So we are just going to change this to 8 also so that it can be round. This, I guess we'll just have to merge everything here. So I'm just going to copy this and add it inside of here. And then we don't need this anymore. And then I'm going to change this to fill. So we're going to change it from hug to fill. And then this also, we're going to copy this from here and copy it and paste it inside of here. Let's see if we can change the color. So I'm going to change it to 500, and this is going to be gray 900. And then I'm going to copy this and then select the larger frame and then paste to replace with the shortcut. So now we're going to reduce this to 13. All right. And then I'm going to reduce this to 355. Or let's make it 335. Or 343. All right, so it fits this properly. Let's reduce this to 12 and see. And then the gap, I'm going to reduce the gap to like 12. All right, yeah, I wanted it to be in 2 lines. So this is what I want. And then I'm just going to center this properly and draw a frame around it to just house the entire section. So I'm going to add auto layout to it, and just like the other one, top and bottom 16 and left and right 16. And then I'm going to make sure there's no gap between this and this. So we've successfully created 3 sections. This is what we've done so far. So now the next part that we're going to go into now is recreating this. So to recreate this, I'm going to do this outside. I'm going to resize this outside before I add it inside of this particular the mobile. So for this, we are going to select all these KPI cards, and then we're going to change the direction to this. And then we're going to reduce this to 343. Why we're reducing it to 343? Because the area that is within our margin constraint for us to be able to work is that's the size. So if you look at most of the width of all of this that we've done, that is not touching the margin, that is not going into the margin, you see that their width is like 343. So we're just going to keep using 343, and then Yeah, so this, we'll have to change this to fill. Then I'm going to select these guys also, and then change them to fill, and the gap will be auto. All right, so this is what I want, and I'm just going to push this inside of here, and I'm going to center it properly, and the gap from this to this will be 32. We can leave it at 16 because we already have 16 inside of the other one. Probably like moving forward will be like 32. So let me select your entire mobile frame and see how that looks inside of here. Okay, I think it came out very well. This is exactly what we want, the correct spacing, and it still looks good. So now that it still looks good, the next thing that we're going to do, we're just going to move on. So the next card that we have to add is the wallet balance. And I'm just going to drop this. Although this should come before, like this the documents, the well-performing documents should come before the wallet though, but we are still going to do this, and then we'll just have to just rearrange them when we are done. So since we already have this, we're just going to make sure that it's following our margin, and then I'm just going to the distance between this and this will be like 32. Although what we are using here was like 24. So let's see if 24 still works. Although we have actually been using like 32. So if we're going to be using 24, so top and bottom is going to be 16. So in terms of like the padding, here is supposed to be 16. But let's start from here instead. So we are going to do top and bottom 12. Let's see if it gets very tight. All right, 24 doesn't look bad. So we're going to reduce this to 343 and see if it responds. Okay, it did respond. So there's no much work we're going to do. We're not going to do much work there. So it responded. So this is what we have so far. And so the next section now is this table. So we are just going to list out all the elements instead of trying to, we're going to redesign the entire table to fit the mobile experience. So I'm just going to go over to this and stretch it down. I'm going to add more space here so that when I'm ready to fill it up, it will be easy for me to do that. So we're just going to pull out everything from the table and redesign this table in a way that is going to fit into this. So the first thing that we're going to do, we already have this, so I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to duplicate this, and then we'll start working from there. So I'm holding Alt while dragging, and this is 24, good. And then I'm just going to copy this. So when I copy this, I'm just going to come over here and paste to replace. So I'm going to paste to replace. And then, mind you, we're supposed to reduce this. So this is supposed to, the text is supposed to be 14, although it has been 14 consistently. All right, so I hope this is 14 also. All right, so we're just going to change this to fill. And then this is going to be hog. Or we're just going to leave this at fill. And then the text inside is going to also be set to fill. Yep. And then the gap inside of this. So this button is going to be slightly different because we're going to reduce the size for this to like 12, and this is going to go from 20 to like 16. So it's fixed because we already have it that way in our component. So we're just going to move forward with that. And the gap is not going to be auto. We're going to make it like 12 and see how that looks. Let's see how that looks, please. All right, I think this is not bad. So we're going to use this, although we're going to change this to see all, not today, because that was like for a different, because we duplicated this section so that we can use it to recreate the table section. So now that we've gotten this, the next thing to do now is to create more like something that looks like a list of everything that we'll have for each table row. So I'm going to add auto layout to it. All right, it's already on auto layout, and the gap is just going to be like 16, and then top and bottom padding 16, and then this, I want this to fill the entire container. Since we have gotten the structure, let's turn off the layout grid so that we can see what we are doing. All right, so we're going to add the strokes, which is like grade 200, and we're going to have corner radius at, let's put it at 12 and see how it looks. Okay, 12 doesn't look bad. I think we can use 12. So the first thing we are going to do is to bring in this detail. So I'm going to pick this each details one after the other, and then we're going to paste it inside. Or before we do that, let's just paste the first one. Let's paste the image first. So I'm just going to paste this image first, and then the image, I'm going to make it like 40, the product image, and then the corner radius, we're going to reduce it to like 8, or let's just put it at 12. 12 doesn't look bad. So well, let's just keep it at 8. I look feel that this is too big, so I'm just going to reduce it to 40, and then reduce it to 12. All right, so now that we have the first product image, let's quickly bring in like a divider. So there's already a divider here, so I'm just going to select this divider and add it inside of here, and then I'm just going to resize it. So now that I've resized it, I'm going to need something. So I'm going to need something like this. So I'm just going to copy this. So instead of trying to rework everything, I just reuse what I've used before. So it's easier for me to work faster. If not, we are going to spend the whole day trying to redesign most of these things. So the first one is going to be product, which is where the product name is going to come in. So I'm just going to copy the product name, and then I'm going to paste it. All right, so now that we have this, I think the gap between that is okay. So now that I've gotten to this stage, I can now add auto layout to the entire frame, the product frame. And then I'll now have to set everything. So this will be in the fill. We're going to change this to fill container, and then top and bottom 12, 12, which is what I want. And then the gap will be like 12. And then this also, okay, I think there's something wrong. So the divider, I think the divider was one of this product are in absolute positioning. So this is a frame. So where is our, okay, I noticed something that divider is not inside of the frame. So I'm just going to cut it out and then select the frame and then paste it inside of it. So now I've pasted it inside of it. I'll just push it up there, then duplicate it by holding Ctrl D. Then I'm going to duplicate also. Let's move this so that we'll see what we are building, please. Because we just have 2 products, and then I'm going to, not 2 products actually, we have more things to actually document there, because we have the product, we have the price, we have the downloads, earning, and the status. All right, so I would like the corner radius inside of this is looking too much. Not the corner radius, the padding around it. So we're going to use 12 for the padding around it. And then this is going to be 0.5. So I don't want it to be too visible. All right, so now that we have this, I'm just going to push this divider up here and then push this down here. So the next thing we have there is price. So I'm just going to copy the price. I'm just going to copy the price. Don't worry, I'm going to edit it. So I'm just going to change this to price. The next one is downloads. So instead of using tables, this is more of like a mobile friendly approach to putting the tables here. So the next one is earnings. So the next one is earnings. So I'm just going to edit it. And then paste the value. And then final one is the status. What did I just spell? All right, so now that we have that, I'm just going to copy this. And then we're going to move it here. All right, so I'm going to add more dividers by duplicating it, and then, yeah, I guess that's it. So that is an example of a product card. So we're going to call this product card. We're just going to add our color. Let's just add white, the white color. All right, so, but one thing that we have to do is to make this a component so that we can be able to swap images in the future. So I'm going to call this product image. So same here. I'm going to copy this and use same settings for the last one of them. So I'm just going to copy this and use same setting for this. So I'm going to paste to replace and use the same setting for this. So I'm just going to hit K, and this is going to be 40. And then corner radius is going to be 12. Really? I didn't add corner radius to this. This looks like 8. So now I'm going to make this a component also, and then call it product image. So I'm going to copy this and then paste to replace. So now that we have this product card, I'm now going to make it a component, and then I'm going to copy it and paste to replace here so that I can duplicate it. So I'm going to paste to replace and then duplicate it. And then this entire frame that is housing the trending products, I'm just going to change it to hog. And then the gap 16 looks okay. Or we can reduce it to 12 or something and see. So this is how it looks. So we'll just have to update the details that we already have for this. So this is going to come down and this is going to move up. All right, so it's time to update the information. So I'm just going to collect this. You know what, first, before we move forward, let's edit this. So the size, this is 12 semi-bold. So I'm just going to select this, and select this. So this is going to be, we're going to leave this at 14 semi-bold, please. And then this can be 12 medium. And this should be hog. All right, so we're just going to update the information for the second one. Although we should have established like a sort of, you know what, let me just call this product. Let me add component property to everything. So this is product. And this, we're going to change it to price. And this is going to be downloads. And this is going to be earnings. No. That's not what I'm supposed to select, please. So this is what I'm supposed to select. So I'm going to change it to earnings. So first I'll come here and copy this. And then change this to the product name. And the price here is 2,990. Then the downloads is 6. And then the earnings 17,000, 9,400, 904, like 17,940 naira. So that's what we have. So now we are done with this. I think the last thing is just to swap this image. So we are just going to swap the project image to product image 2. All right, so we are done with that aspect of the product. Remember, I said something like this is supposed to come. How the product are performing is supposed to come before this. Although when we add auto layout to the entire thing, probably we might now readjust the frames. And for this, we're just going to swap this to draft because that's what it is. So the next thing we are going to build, or before we build the next thing, there's one last thing that I want to add. So I want to make this look clickable. So I'm just going to add so that people know that this is clickable. And this can be 16. Why are the cards looking small? Let's leave it at 14. I think 14 looks great. Or let's drop it at 16 and see. 16 also looks good. So you see the good part about creating these components. So you see the way we just updated the values and it just reflected here all at once, which is a very good thing. So the next section now will be the recent activities section. So that section, I don't think it's going to give us any much hard work. We're just going to copy it just like we did for this particular, the wallet. And I'm just going to duplicate this and then paste to replace, because I've already copied the section. And then I'm going to change this to 343. So that's that. So we've been able to do that. So, but there's one more thing. So I'm going to delete this. So currently, there's one more thing. Let's quickly go over what we've done so far. The only thing left now is recreating the insights chart. So this is 24. I'm not going to let it stay at that. So I'm just going to reduce this to 12. It looks like there's too much space going on there. So I'm just going to select all of this and push it up. All right, so let's see how it looks here. So this is how it basically look on mobile. The mobile is looking all good. The only thing left to add now is just the table. So for that table, for the chart, we will just have to reduce some information. I'll just see ways for us to redesign this. So let me make this a component and try to recreate it for mobile. So to recreate it for mobile, I'm just going to add like a variant. And then I'm just going to reduce this. This is going to be in 2 places. And this will just be earnings. So instead of having a toggle button like that, I'm just going to change this to earnings. So it's going to be like more like a drop down. So that's number 1. And then this is looking to spaced out. So we're going to look for a way to just reduce it. So let me try something quickly. Let me quickly pull this outside. I'm going to pull this entire bars outside. So I'm going to try to move this. So the space we want it to occupy is 343. Let's see how 343 looks when we reduce it. So this is how 343 looks. So I'm just going to reduce the gap for this. So instead of keeping it at auto, I might just reduce it to like 12, or let's just say 8. And then I'm going to hit enter, and then reduce this to maybe like 10. Reduce the text to like 10. And then maybe reduce it to 4 and see how much we can see. Or let's reduce it to 0 and see how it looks. So we'll still have October, November, and December. We'll still have like 3 months left. So probably we'll just have to omit those months. So this, I'm going to reduce this to like, let's reduce it to 12 and see. 12 looks too close. Let's see. 20. 24. All right. So the remaining, so probably we'll just have to remove some. Let's just remove this 3. So it's just going to start from April. And then these insights we are not going to have like the other text that is under there. So I'm just going to copy this and then select the entire frame and then paste to replace. And then this is just going to be hog. And then this is going to be fill. So we're just going to choose one word here. So analytics looks perfect. So this is going to be 12. And then we're going to reduce the text to, I guess 11 looks okay. And then finally, okay, this is supposed to be an auto. You know what, let's just change this to like 8, the gap between them to be 8. And then I'm just going to select this, let's try the two-side 40. 4 doesn't work. Let's try it. I think 8 is perfect. Then remove the 8, the padding of 8 on the header. I'm just going to remove it. All right, so since we already have this now, you might now reduce this. So the text is going to be 14, obviously. And then this is going to be, I think 11 is perfect. Let's make sure this is centered. All right, so now that we have omitted that, so I'm just going to try to change this to maybe like 12. And then we're going to remove the first three because we no longer need them. And the size of this is going to reduce because we are no longer using like a very wide space to have this. So we can just have this at maybe 16. And let's see how that goes. So I'm just going to push this inside of here. So I'm just going to push this. And then put absolute positioning. And then push it to the top here. So now I'm going to try 24 and see how that works. 24 is too much. So I'm going to change this to 16. I think 16 is perfect. So the only thing left is that we're going to change this to hog. And then we're going to change this to like 8. Then push this to the top. So let's put like 84 and see how 84 looks. And then we're just going to readjust every other thing. So I don't think there's any much change there. So this is going to be 12. And then the gap and padding is going to reduce. Then corner radius is just going to be like 12. Or we're just going to have it at 8. And then now just have to check. So March wasn't over, so March was less than 40K. So this is like the mobile. So I'm just going to copy this and then duplicate this and then paste to replace. All right, so now that we also have like the analytics, so this is what we currently have. So we are going to briefly rearrange everything. So I'm just going to change this to, I'm going to add auto layout to this and see how that performs. So we're going to add 0 and then this, and this are going to be 24. So we are going to add a different auto layout to this and then give it a gap of like 24. Although this is going to be 375. Then we're going to center everything and we're going to give it top and bottom padding of like 12. No, this is the size is going to be 16 and then the top and bottom is going to be 12. Unless the bottom should be like 24, or let's just probably leave it at 40 to have enough space at the bottom. And then this is it. So this is basically what we have for the mobile device. And then we can now decide to switch side. So we want the documents to come first before this. And then we want the analytics to come before the recent transactions. All right, so this is what we have so far. So this is what we currently have so far. So which is looking good. So now that we are done with this, I'm just going to move this to, let me just rename some of these components before we finally add a dark mode version for this. So the default is definitely the desktop version. Let me change this to state. And then this is for the chart. So this is like mobile. And then I'm just going to select all of this. And then move it to components page. So we are not going to arrange the components page. I'll arrange it when I'm getting the file ready so everyone can actually have access to it. So let's start naming components. We are done with all this. We don't need to see this. I'm just going to rename everything and quickly get back to this. So it's time to change this. So it's very easy to take this from this to like dark mode since we're already done with the design. So I'm just going to hold Alt and duplicate this So now, while selecting this, I'm just going to right click. I'm just going to right click on this and then go over to plugins and select dark mode magic. So since it got like majorly this part, so I guess we're just going to have to solve some of the issues that we have here. So the outline are very, very visible, and I don't really know why. So I'm going to select it and experiment. So this is the color for the outline. So I'm just going to try different gray colors and see which one works for the outline. We don't want the outline to be too visible. I think 800 is perfect. Same here, anywhere we see that color code, we change it to gray 800. All right, so the first thing we're going to solve here, we're going to change the black here to white. So you're still going to make some corrections. Don't just assume that the plugin will just do everything for you. You still need to make some corrections. So yeah, there's a pattern I noticed with the grain here. So this grain is too much, so I'm just going to reduce it. So we're just going to use this grain instead and see. Okay, that's not the solution. Although I like the way it did it here. So I'm just going to check this out and see what's working here. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to change this to this, and this is going to be 500. So I'll do the same for the rest. So this is going to change to 500 also. And then the color for this button is supposed to be white. And then let's look closely to make sure that we're not missing out anything. So this line and this is supposed to be white. And then this also supposed to be white. So I think it did a good job. We just had like minor changes to make. All right, so one thing that I'm going to do here is I'm going to apply the dark mode magic again here. I'm just going to copy this and then paste to replace, and then remove background from everything that has a background except the inside. So this has a background to it. I'm going to remove that background color. So anything that has a white background, will remove it. So now that we have removed it, let's try the dark mode magic again. All right, so it did a better job now. And then for dark green, oh no. No, we changed the wrong color. So it's basically the same thing that we fixed the other time that we're still fixing now. And then the outline also, same issue also. So we're just going to check. So this is the outline color. So anyway, I see that color, I'm just going to change it to what we have there. So I'm just going to look for it. Okay, this is it. So we are changing it to gray 800. All right, so this is what we want. And then there's this final one here. So this might just be like white. So let's carefully look at everything before we end the tutorial to make sure everything is intact. All right, I think everything is intact. So thank you for staying this far. So I appreciate you coming this far, and please make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video to anybody that might be needing the video. Thank you, and see you in my next tutorial.